Evictions. Let's have an adult conversation about them. Welcome back, everybody. Such a pleasure to be back. My name is AlexBeltran, and I talk about real estate tricks, tips, and topics. So, if you want the latest on everything real estate related, hit that subscribe button, destroy that little bell like your life depends on it. One major topic of discussion that is being talked about throughout all of real estate is evictions and how they can possibly topple the real estate market. While there recently were some executive orders that were meant to protect from evictions and foreclosures, truth is the wording is a little bit too vague and it really doesn't help anybody. So let's have an adult conversation about this. This particular video is going to benefit both the landlord and tenants alike. First off, I need to get something out of the way. Depending on what article you read, anywhere between 31% to 33% of Americans cannot make their rent payments. There is no doubt that these are unprecedented times, and I firmly believe that both tenants and landlords are in this together, and they have to find a way to work things out. However, even under the supposed good economy that the Orange Man kept boasting about before COVID threw a monkey wrench into the cogs, 28% of Americans weren't able to make their payment on their rent or mortgage, per the National Association of Realtors, which is still a big problem, and it kind of goes to show you that the economy wasn't as good as everyone was saying. Now, I'm no politician and I don't claim to have the answers. I don't know how to fix that, at least not on a national level. I'm just a real estate agent that invests in real estate, and I'm marginally good looking enough to have my own YouTube channel. It just really irks me that as staggering as that 28% number is during a good economy, the news only decided that it was a problem because it went up by 4% respectively. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. Every landlord is different. If you were to make a scale from 0 to 10 with Donald Bren, who basically owns all of Orange County, being at 10, and someone with 0 real estate investments being at 0, I happen to fall right in the middle of the middle. A Donald Bren type of investor is going to be efficient with their evictions because of the sheer amount of properties and resources that his company has. The Irvine Company, which is Donald Bren's company, has lawyers, maintenance crews, management companies that streamline the eviction process. On the other hand, investors like myself or similar, which are the majority of landlords, I hate that term landlord so much. I think of the Middle Ages in the middle of the bubonic plague. Some tenant is like, "Oh, my lord, here are the 5 shillings that you requested." Now, to be clear, I have rental properties. And before you start hitting me up for money, no, I am not loaded. My most expensive property is $160,000, so I am just a microorganism in a vast ocean. And just to clear things up, anybody that has between 1 to about 12 doors in investment properties, we're essentially in the same boat. We count our pennies and really think about every decision we make. Because within this range, any non-cost-effective decision that we take could topple everything that we work for. So believe me, even one property sitting vacant for an extended period of time is a huge fear for investors like myself. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is gonna help both tenants and investors alike. Because much like the investors that I've been talking to, I had to work something out with my tenants. Because I don't want to kick someone out. I'm not that type of landlord. Thank me, Lord, for your merciful haul. The other thing is, why have a vacant property during a recession and a pandemic for reasons outside of the control of the tenant? It makes no sense, at least not to me. Now, if you actually have a bad tenant, then that's a completely different conversation altogether. So if you're an investor or a tenant, here's some things that you can do. First thing is point tenants in the right direction. There is local rental help in almost all major cities. Find out what they are and point them in that direction. It may take some searching within the city or a deep dive into the Googles. Rental help, insert city is something to look for, or tenant advocacy groups. There is a lot of help out there, you just have to find it. Now, I didn't take it, but I was recently told that even self-employed or 1099 workers can qualify for unemployment under the CARES Act and can also be retroactively paid. Let the tenants know about that too. The money's out there. If you need it, use it. This is a must. And if that's the only help that your tenants needed, then great. This is probably the best solution, where the tenant catches up on their payment and also has money to put food on the table. Now we can go into different options to take, whether it's negotiating, breaking lease, or modifying the terms of the lease. And this kind of all depends on the relationship that you have with your tenant. Because there are places that don't have any rental help and you will have to negotiate with your tenants. Now, a good tenant is worth keeping. And let's say that they call you because they can't afford the next month's payment. Something that I did was work out a payment that we can both work with, but I also extended the term of the lease. So here's some numbers as an example. I'm renting a house out for $900 a month. I told you I wasn't ballin'. The tenant couldn't pay the full amount, so we extended the lease agreement until the end of December 2022. We reduced the rent payment to $650 until December 2020 in July. Starting January 2021, the payment goes up to $800 a month. And then January 2022, the payment goes up again to $950 a month. Now that means that for the 2020 year, I will collect a total of $9,300 in rent, instead of $10,800 if payments would have stayed the same. For 2021, I will collect a total of $9,600 for the year, and for 2022, I will collect a total of $11,400 for the year. That comes out to $30,300 during those 3 years, as opposed to $32,400 if the payments would have stayed the same. That's a $2,100 loss, and if you break that down throughout the 36-month term, that's actually losing $58 per month. That doesn't sound like that big of a loss to me. I personally don't want a vacant property during a recession and a pandemic. While I am very optimistic for the future, I have to take into account that there's gonna be some rough seas within the next couple of years. Securing a good, happy tenant is a great way to prevent my blood pressure from unnecessarily rising and causing a premature heart attack. If you watched my video on risk tolerance levels, you know that I'm not the biggest risk taker. I prefer security over growth. The way I look at it is to take as little of a loss for both myself and my tenant. And that was accomplished by extending the term of the lease along with negotiating the monthly payments. And that may work for you as well. Just adjust your numbers accordingly to what the rent payment is and what your tenant is able to pay. Because you can take that hardline approach and demand a lump sum or something along those lines. But then you risk pissing off the tenant, and they can break lease and leave, or worse. They stop paying and they force you to go through the eviction process. And then you have to pay court fees, and who knows how long that's gonna take in this climate. And we all know that if you piss tenants off, they don't take care of the property upon move out. The only thing you'll accomplish at that point is having a vacant property that you will most likely have to clean and repair. And because you have to do that, it'll stay vacant much longer. I prefer having that small $58 a month loss than an unnecessary headache, because everybody's hurting right now, and I feel that I have to share some of the responsibility with my tenants so that we can get through this together. The next option is breaking lease entirely. I personally haven't had to do this, but a lot of my California clients that have investment properties have had their tenants break lease. And it's not because they want the tenants out of there, but because a lot of these tenants are leaving California entirely for more affordable states. I actually made a video about the top 5 most affordable cities in the US. Go ahead and check that out. I'll link it somewhere around here. Now, when it comes to breaking lease, there is no standard lease break, but generally speaking, the house needs to be returned to the landlord in a rentable condition, meaning that it is the tenant's job to clean and make sure that the house is returned in working condition, as well as being able to show the property to new potential tenants. Where it gets really murky is the monetary compensation. Having 2 months left on your lease is a very different negotiation than having 11 months left on your lease. For this, I'm just going to say talk to your property management company or your landlord, because this varies case by case. All I can say is that legally speaking, a tenant owes whatever the contract says. Whether the landlord or the property management company makes an exception is at their discretion. Now I'm going to shift gears here real quick. If you're a tenant, don't just stop paying your rent. I know this is not fun. I know this is not easy, but the last thing you want is a hit on your credit score. It isn't worth it. I know it may seem like you're just sticking it to the man by not paying your rent, but the pain that you're causing the landlord is temporary compared to what happens to your credit score long term. And believe me, I feel bad about this, but it's always the tenant that gets screwed the most, because property owners have a lot of protections, and 9 times out of 10, the ball is in the landlord's court. Just food for thought. Now, being so involved in real estate because I have no life, since the end of the eviction ban, I've been watching the courts to see how many evictions get filed. Shows you how exciting my life is. And it's pretty alarming. With that said, I'm not going to talk too much into the subject yet. because this is really kind of just the first phase. The next thing to look for is how many evictions actually get executed and how long does it take those evictions to get processed. So hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with that information. And this brings me to the question of the day, or in this particular case, 2 questions. This question is for the investors. What is your current experience with this pandemic? Are your tenants still paying? Are you negotiating with them? Or are you forced to take the unfortunate step of evictions? And for tenants, what is your experience with landlords? Are they easy to work with? Or are they forcing you to talk to heartless property management companies? Go ahead and comment in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this video informative or entertaining, go ahead and hit that like button. Helps out this channel a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to keep up to date with everything that I'm doing in real estate, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. If you want to watch some more of my real estate related content, I'm going to go ahead and link it here and here. Other than that, catch you guys next week. Peace.